Virginia City was the greatest industrial mining center in the world. Well, my name is Ron Gallagher, obviously of Irish heritage. I was conceived and raised on the Comstock, and then I grew up there and went to school there, and I've been in this area most of the time. I have a deep link to the mines. My grandfather was born in 1880. He was born 3 weeks after his father died in the Yellow Jacket mine, and he went to work on the 18th of June, 1880. He already had 2 children and was getting ready to come up for lunch along with several others, and part of a mining cart, various pieces of metal, came down a couple of thousand feet, and I believe they didn't even hear it coming because it had reached such a speed. He and 3 others died. He was decapitated, and my grandfather grew up the rest of his life on the Comstock. So when the fire came through, I can always picture the family they're up high, and they were not burned out, although they thought they probably would be, sitting watching Virginia City burn. I don't believe they were in business, so affected, yes, but not directly affected as far as losing their livelihood. But they were there when they watched it burn in October of 1875. Well, the only ones that I know of that were excluded from working in the mines themselves were women and the Chinese. And the Chinese were viewed as bad luck. There was a community of about 2,000 roughly or more Chinese. They ran laundries, they worked at restaurants, they worked as servants, but they could not work in the mines. And in fact, when the railroad was coming in 1869, the miners met the Chinese working on the railroad at Gold Hill and said, "You're not coming in and working." And there were guns displayed, et cetera, and they allowed them to finish working in the Gold Hill area, but the remainder of the track and whatever was pretty much finished by non-Chinese, because they were afraid they would come in and get jobs because they would work very hard for very little money, and that was not what, of course, the Irish and many others wanted to see. When the town first started in 1859, there was not a lot to do, and so after you worked all day, you needed a wee touch or two. They had to go relax, and of course the really entrepreneurial Irish and the Italians and whatever, they started up the bars, and they made a hell of a lot more money than the Irish miners did. But it was a social place to get together, to talk, to relax a bit, and then it just expanded from there, and that was part of the culture. After the 1860s, they then had 1-bit and 2-bit saloons, 2-bit being pretty exclusive. Later on, the saloons were part of the end of your day, because when you got off, you could go in the bar with your lunch pail, and if you had that, you could get an after shifter, they call it. You got a free drink. It was a very interesting marketing enticement through the early days of the Comstock. Actually, a whole lot of people made more money than the miners. They were stubborn, and they worked for $4 a day, and they were very proud of what they did. But if you looked at those that went into business, for example, a guy got a sharpening stone because whether you were working in the mines as they became more formalized, your equipment got dull. And he would make $30 to $40 a day sharpening equipment. If you translate the dollars in that time frame to today, you can take it roughly 20 times, which would be pretty good. You guys would probably take that right now. Bartenders, seamstresses went into business, and they did very, very well. It was a very optimistic community and a pretty wealthy community. You had 3,000 to 4,000 miners working, all of the multiple mines underground once Dietzenheimer figured out the square set timbering so they could go underground. And that was the catalyst. And then everything spun off. If the mines were going well, new businesses came in, but mining was the root. If you look at the population studies, people born in the United States in 1880, they were number one. Then the Irish came next, and you were looking at 2,500, 3,000 people directly from Ireland. But after that, you had English, Cornish, literally people from all over the world. Well, it was gold and silver, and what gets lost is there was more silver taken out of the Comstock, depending on the numbers you look at, $400 million in silver, $300 million in gold. The fascinating thing about that, a hell of a lot more ounces of silver mined, and that's why it's called the silver capital of the world. Virginia City was the greatest industrial mining center in the world for 20 years. The innovations that were done on the Comstock supplied the rest of the world. Virginia City was unique in the world, and the deepest shaft in the world, the combination shaft, 3,200 plus feet, all dug by candlelight and pick and shovel. You did that for 8 hours, you came back up, got strip searched, put on your clothes, and walked home in the snow. And that was a typical day to your pregnant wife with 3 or 4 children, 2 of whom were generally sick. So it was an interesting life, but they stuck it out. Anytime they could find a nugget, one time they put it under their tongue and they weren't. Finally, they would swallow it. Nature called underground, and they would take an ore cart and they would put through toilets. One of the jobs that some people look forward to doing was taking those up to the surface and emptying them, because maybe that nugget went all the way through. So there was gold in that stuff. You might not want to put that anymore.